Welcome and good morning. Today, April 27th, 2026, we've got in studio a Zoom call interview with Mr. Pignataro, artist from New York in Massachusetts. And Frady Cat behind me is Marguerite Pignataro. She's off screen here, and we have the pleasure of conversation with a spectacular family member. You guys are cousins, is that not correct?
First cousins.
Yeah, well, it's wonderful to have you. Which one's older? Let's go here, Marguerite or you?
I think I'm a couple years older than you.
All right, very good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. We kind of grew up together, you know.
Well, you have delighted us here in Wyoming with the artwork that we've been shown by Marguerite.
Thank you.
You have very it's absolutely unique style, and that's got to be an inspiration to people who enjoy your work. Where are you showing your work right now?
Right now in Astoria, New York, which is in Queens. And that's where I've been living for the last 20 years.
Where were you born, Mr. Pignataro?
You can call me Tony.
Okay,
And,
Tony P. Hello.
Tony P. I was born in Massachusetts, right in the middle of Massachusetts.
Wow.
With Mass, yeah.
And how early was it? Be it your interest in art?
It's got to be grade school. Grade school. Yeah, all through grade school. Then, through high school. And then they tell you you gotta pick a career.
They made you, huh? Did you have to test for that? Did they test you and say?
I went to college. I went to the Massachusetts College of Art in Boston.
All right.
That was real fun. But everybody wants you to go into what they call commercial art, which is now graphic design.
And how have you made your career? They talk about starving artists. You look pretty healthy.
Just a funny thing. I was bartending all my life, adult life, working in restaurants in Somerville, Mass, Martha's Vineyard. I lived there for 3 years. I was working in restaurants over there. So my whole thing up until I moved to New York, and now I work for a private hedge fund.
And art becomes relaxed, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah, and talk about some of your influence, Tony, please.
It kind of runs all over the place, but I guess Jackson Pollock was the biggest one because he may not technically be great, but he had to express himself some way. And I think that's what art is. You want to express yourself. And I tell people it doesn't matter what you use, just like he did. He threw the rules out the window, And I think big influence for people, especially as you get older, you want to try new things. Don't edit yourself. Just go for it. You really should do that, I really believe that. And I guess Keith Haring, I don't know if you're familiar with this. I guess he's pretty popular. He does a lot of pop-up art in New York City in the 80s. And he has a lot of stuff. His stuff is available, everywhere now. But he did a lot of street art, just out there, just making the art accessible to everybody. That's what I want to do,
You introduced me sharing an audio clip between you and Marguerite that you were actually touring through one of your museum shows. It looked like an exhibit that you guys were walking through. And as one of the most important pieces that came to me as I viewed that was that music is powerfully influential to your work.
Yeah.
Lyrics.
It's really huge. I just read something recently that says we have a calling and we have a dream, right? So I always dreamed of being a musician. I just wanted to be in a rock band, you know? And I still try to play guitar, but I play as well as I did when I was 12 taking lessons, you know? Nothing's changed. You know, I'm as good as I was back then, and it was pretty
I have
bad
the
back
same
then.
learning curve with the trumpet. I know
Oh,
exactly.
man. And all I wanted to do was play guitar, you know? And I still mess with it, but I still, just awful, you know? And that's the dream, you know? But I do believe you get a calling, right? And that's where you have to just pursue that. Because if you don't, I don't know. That's a whole other conversation. But music is so important. And like I was telling Marguerite, that as I got older, I like to listen to music without any lyrics or words a lot. You know, a little ambient, a little atmosphere. It could be jazz. It could be just, I'm open to any kind of instrumental music. Um, More now as I get older, because sometimes I don't want to think about what somebody else is talking about.
Well, Tony, one of the most striking comments you made was that REM was one of your favorites, but music without lyrics was powerfully important to you as influence to your artwork.
Yeah, with REM, early on especially, you couldn't really understand a lot of their words. And it was a lot of guttural sort of emotive noises he would make as a chorus sometimes, you know, like just, I really like, and I think that's what drew me, one of the reasons that drew me to their music. Also, a very big art background for that band. Uh, you know, lead singer in art college kind of really influenced their music, I think. But music, I think, is really important to everybody to create things.
What was that always the case? Do you look back and as you were in grade school doing artwork, was that building in you? Was that developing that simultaneous parallel between music and your art? Was that something you can look back and find consistent?
Yeah, absolutely. I had, you know, my family's turntable, and I just loaded up with records, and I'd be in my room, and back then you would pile up the records on a turntable, and they would drop after they were done. That's how old I am. But yeah, you'd put those on, and then you go in your room and you just start making art. You know, I would just doodle a lot, doodle little cartoon drawings, which is sort of what I'm doing now. You know, with the pieces you probably saw.
I like that you take a phrase and then you connect a visual to it. Is
Yeah.
that which comes first, the lyric, or does the lyric match after you've gone some way in the travel, the adventure of your art piece individually? Do you come up with the image and then?
Oh, interesting. Everything is the image first. The pieces. I don't know if you saw the series. It was the small pieces of people in my neighborhood, and it starts with the background and then the person. The words, I don't know if you're familiar with William Burroughs. He was a beat writer in the 50s, 60s with Jack Kerouac and those people on the road. And he did this method where he would do a bunch of writing and then he'd cut it all up. And then he would just try to make sense of it. And that's what I was trying to do with the little bits of words. I just took a magazine and just cut up phrases that caught my eye. And I wanted it to be like if you were walking down a busy street and you're just caught pieces of conversation from people. And that's what this is. Because even today, you know, I walked by somebody, I heard somebody, they have to propose by June, you know, he has to make, you know, that's all I heard. I don't know anything more than that. But that's what I was trying to do with the art, too. It was just like, these are people you walk by, you see, and you just maybe hear something they're saying.
Tony, living out east, do you connect your artwork and the results of it with the mood and atmosphere, the culture of New York itself, Massachusetts, and in that area? Is that integrated into your work?
I think so a lot. I think it's got an urban vibe. I think, but you know, I do some landscape stuff too. But I definitely think because I use a lot of found material. Yeah, I think it's definitely got a city urban vibe to the work.
Is
Because even when I lived in Martha's Vineyard, I thought, well, geez, it's nice and secluded, I'll create all kinds of art. Didn't do much there.
oh, your art production wasn't as high when you were in
No,
Martha's.
I did some, but no, no. The thing that is always important, I think, even back then, living there, is I continue to take classes in life drawing with a model because I think it's like practicing your craft. Like you have to practice. The only way you're going to get better is to keep going to these classes and keep drawing from a model. Because I had a professor once that says, like, detective work, just look at space and
Tony,
perspective.
does seclusion or inclusion, do those have dynamic effects and impacts on your work, the results of it, or have you made that observation?
I don't. Nah, I don't know if.
I guess what comes to my mind, Tony, is that taking life drawings, you're probably not alone in the classes, or perhaps they're one-on-one.
Sitting around together.
Yeah, so to me that's the social influence, the open influence of developing work side by side with other interested.
And I look at that very seriously. Like I'm at a class, like I'm trying to hone my skills.
Right.
And I think whatever reason they're there, that's but it's all very nice. The thing of it is the gallery I'm associated with in Astoria Art Center, they have a meetup once a month, artist meetup. And you don't even have to be an artist. You just come and whatever you want to, if you created something, you bring it, you talk about it for 10 minutes. And it's like an open mic for artists.
What's that like, Tony?
You end up getting a show maybe, or you do get a lot of positive input on the work that you're working on.
Very neat. What do you, when people ask you about your artwork, how do you find the most fulfillment? Is it immaterial what somebody else thinks of it? Is it all internal, or is there some satisfaction in what people derive from your work?
Yeah, I don't if somebody doesn't get it or something, that doesn't bother me. It's funny, it's I'd rather have a strong reaction one way or the other. Like, I'd rather you just don't like it than to be just like, have it not do anything to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
I hate to have somebody just be like, whatever. I'd rather you either like it or really just be like, oh, this is, oh, I could do that. When people always I like when people throw that around,
Tony, how about a memory, if you don't mind sharing, of one who really connected in maybe a way that surprised you from your finished work? Maybe it was something that almost inspired you again. Maybe gave you ideas for another future work or something like that. Have there been inspirations like that?
Well, in a weird way, I met up with an old classmate in Brooklyn. He lives in Massachusetts still. We met up in June last year, and I had already had the show scheduled, my art show. But I was kind of not in a rut. But he challenged me to do one of him, like do a piece when I get back, and I did it that afternoon. I got back home. It just came out of me in I'd say 30 minutes. It was done, and the complete, and it just made me roll. And I said, I of course told him, and then the challenge was almost on, because then it was like. Because we were sort of competitive in school. So all these years later, it still just drove me to kind of like go, okay, I'm really going to show you.
Right on.
So I ended up with 64 pieces.
No kidding.
So
64.
you know.
Wow. In what span of time does it take you to do any given piece, Tony?
Well, like I said, with that one, it was about 30 to 60 minutes. And then another piece, I was trying to get this friend of mine, Ivy, who she's a mom in our neighborhood, and I see her at basketball practice. And I was trying to get her, it took me a month, like over a month. And finally I realized I was trying to draw her from another perspective. And then I thought, how do I see her? I always see her cross-legged on the ground with her laptop with a bunch of snacks and her water bottle. And that's how I drew her. And it came out in a second.
Wow.
Not in a second, but it came out so quick. And I was like so relieved because it was like cracking the code, you know?
It would be neat to see that finished work, Tony, that particular piece. That'd be wonderful to attach to this video. What do you...
Marguerite probably has access to it somehow.
All right.
But,
well, you know, one of the things that is asked by the audience is there are 168 hours in every week. What's the day in the life of you as you do your art, your career in hedge funds and art? What's a day in the life of Tony like in a given week?
Well, just to be clear, I don't do any hedge funding at all.
Oh, no, okay.
Where the lights are on and the water's running and all that stuff. But I come here, been working here for a long time, and I get home, say hi to the family, my wife and my kid, and within about an hour, everybody's doing their own thing. And when it occurred to me about a while, a couple years ago, I'm like, geez, she's doing her thing, he's doing his thing. I might as well just start doing this. And that's what happened. So I take those 2 hours till about 8 o'clock, 8:30, and I'm making art. The weekends are a little different, I'll wake up and start doing stuff on the weekend. But the big part of this was, like, I spent a lot of time living in New York not doing anything. It's 20 years not doing anything. And then I went out I had a big birthday, and I went out to Jackson Pollock's house out in East Hampton, New York, out there, and got to tour his studio. And then I just said, that's it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Fantastic. How many finished works would you say that you've completed this far in your life?
Oh boy, I'd say about 500.
I always kind of, so many people are analytical and they want to know metrics, they want to know numbers. Well, how many of this and how many of that and how big and it, people are concerned. What's the average size of your work, Tony?
The work is related to the space I'm living in, I think. And my work is very small now. I had huge pieces when I had a lot of space, and now I work at the corner of my bed, and I work on little pieces of wood.
Beautiful.
Maybe 4 inches by 4 inches.
What do you do with the shims? What do you do with the shims? In one of the videos I saw, you had wood shims, and tell us about that if you would.
I love working on wood, and I found these shims, and I was carrying them around for years. And again, when I had that vision to create art again, I just said, these are the shims I'm supposed to be working with, and that's what I'm doing. And that's what I did, and I'm still working on that series. Just because I had the show doesn't mean the series ended. Also, I brought a piece to the artist meetup, a completely different but similar style, and the gallery owner was really jazzed about it, and she's like, how about a show next summer with this stuff? So I just started cranking out all new work. I don't want to talk about it too much till we get going, but
right on. Well, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled for the introduction that we were able to make with you and our Laramie, Wyoming audience, and I do believe that art brings people together. It's unifying in so many different ways. Culturally, it's significant, and there's a ripple effect in everything we do.
I think so. I'd love to come out there and see that beautiful state you're living in, and get some inspiration out there.
Well, we're gonna make sure that Marguerite knows that she's to bring you back with her this next time.
I would love it.
Yeah. What's is there downtime in your schedule? Is there ever a down season, or do you just decide you wake up one morning and maybe it's you're not feeling it, so you take that break, or how do you take care of you?
You have to, again, when I was younger, I would just be like, whatever. I feel like now you reach a certain age, you can't mess around. You got to do it. You got to stay disciplined. You got to do something every day. You have to, whether it's a sketch, a drawing, something, because there's a book by Stephen King called On Writing, and it's all about the process of being a writer. I don't know if you've ever read it, but it's really good. It's not a horror book. It's about the tools of writing, and the muse and the drive and the discipline. And that's what he talks about. It's like you have to just get up and sit down at the desk and do at the typewriter, Got to do it.
Very neat.
Time's not going to stand still.
We're visiting with Tony Pignataro, artist in the Pignataro family, introduced to us by Marguerite, who's a University of Wyoming professor here and lecturer in studies of. Marguerite, speak in. Tell me American Cultural Studies at the University of Wyoming, and you're looking to go back east here pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we were lucky to sneak this time in. It's just about 6:30 here in Wyoming, and that means 8:30 your time. Best wishes in your day, Tony. Thank you so much for taking a moment here very early.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's great to meet you.
Tony Pignataro, right today on the Talk Shop.